Welcome back. The humanitarian situation in the Iraqi city of Mosul is continuing to deteriorate amongst the shelling from US-UK coalition airstrikes. More than 400,000 refugees have fled, with 12,000 apparently fleeing every day. This, as unverified mass civilian casualties are being reported in areas where RAF tornadoes are currently in operation. Despite what was promised in NATO nation media, the West's intervention in Iraq is far from over, and it makes some believe that the toppling of the statue of Saddam Hussein just days away from its 14th anniversary was merely a cynical press opportunity to represent a false victory for the mainstream media that cheerled an invasion that killed, wounded or displaced tens of millions. On the line now, from Baghdad, is Ammar al-Moussawi, English Department Manager for Media for the Popular Mobilization Unit, a government-sanctioned paramilitary group on the ground in Iraq. Ammar, thanks so much for joining us. So what is the situation, as you understand it, based on the aid your organization is providing in Mosul?
The thing is, when you liberate any village, the biggest concern for the Iraqi mobilization forces, which is the civilians, and that's the thing they don't know. Most people, they don't know about it. That's why we're going so slow, because ISIS, they're taking the civilians as a human shield. Right now, the civilians, after we're reaching near the Talafar city, and after the Iraqi mobilization forces has been part of the right side of Mosul, because we have two divisions over there with working with the Iraqi 9th Division. Right now, we have full cooperation with the aid and with the United Nations, especially. There is a lot of organization who likes to work with us to get more help for the civilians over there as a humanitarian.
We have no further confirmation about British involvement in the alleged civilian bombing in Mosul, but you agree with Zaid Rad al-Hussein, the UN Human Rights Chief, when he said the US, UK-backed forces need to review their tactics?
Still waiting. Right now, we're still waiting from the Iraqi government to confirm that airstrike, because it hasn't been confirmed if it's an Iraqi strike or an American strike, or even if it's a British strike. We haven't figured out yet, and we're just waiting for the confirmation from the Iraqi government.
Donald Trump has announced 200 more troops. There are 5,000 American troops in Iraq right now. You think they will help aid convoys and aid missions such as yourself?
So, as you know, since the beginning of the operations, I'm speaking on behalf of the Iraqi mobilization forces. Since the beginning, we did not get any help from any forces or outside forces, Iraqis. The only forces we work with, which is the Iraqi army. And all the help we got into the civilians, which is from the fatwa or the campaign Imam Sistani did start it, which is the campaign maintained the same name, which is For Your Sake. This For Your Sake, you will take all the Iraqi civilians to gather everything and to give it to the civilians, the displaced people from Mosul, because we consider those people as in part of us. That's why we are in Mosul, to liberate our families from ISIS.
The former Finance and Foreign Minister Hoshyar Zebari is saying that he expects the whole of Western Mosul to be completely destroyed. Is that what you're hearing on the ground?
Any politician in Iraq, anyone who wants to speak about the mobilization forces, I would like to invite him to the areas we have been liberated, because we actually did liberate about 187 villages from ISIS, and especially the areas, the mobilization forces, and it's about desert. So when you go into the desert, it's, speaking of military, that you cannot know the area, because probably there is IEDs, not to mention the car bombs ISIS did send it to our forces. But as you know, as we always do, we always make victory, because we are the right and they are not.
You mentioned ISIS, Daesh. Zebari also added he thinks that certainly the Americans may even think that ISIS leader al-Baghdadi, who was of course once in US custody, is actually hiding out in West Mosul. Anything your people on the ground can add to that? According
to the intelligence we have, there is a lot of movement from al-Baghdadi in areas, but thing is, we cannot move any further unless we have the orders from the Iraqi Prime Minister, because, you know, Iraqi mobilization forces. Right now, we are working under the Iraqi government. The Americans, they have the air, which is they have the F-16, they have the F-20. I don't think if they have any kind of information or any kind of intelligence about what is al-Baghdadi, I think they will do an air strike on him.
But who are these ISIS fighters that your paramilitaries are fighting? Is it your understanding they used to be part of Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard?
There are some of them, they used to be officers in the Republican Guard. You cannot hesitate with your enemy, because this enemy, it has been on this ground for the last 2.5 years. So absolutely, he did prepare to fight us, but we are the mobilization forces, always ready for any kind of enemy who fight us, because we have our intelligence, we have our technique with the movement, not to mention our soldiers, which is the miracle happened, because we did create an army in 2 years.
Amr al-Musawi, thank you. And we'll keep you up to date on the situation in Mosul in future episodes of Going Underground.